Hey everybody, this is TJR, and off doing stuff is Superfan.
Hey.
And so if you hear some banging around, that's just her doing stuff. And I'm gonna, you don't have to kick things. Anyways, I'm gonna talk about some records I picked up at Rhino Records in the city of Claremont. Is it Claremont or Montclair?
Claremont.
Claremont. I always get it confused. City of Claremont. Found some old used vinyl. I was out helping a relative moving some stuff in her garage, and Rhino was on the way home. So I thought, okay, I'm going to stop by. And I found a couple records that I'd lately been thinking about that I would like to get that I own already. Not as vinyl, but I either own a new vinyl copy, a digital copy, or I own it on CD. And I wanted to compare them. And I bought the records here. I had to go use a restroom, so I went to Starbucks to use the restroom. And when I walked in there, sometimes there's a hook and I can just hang the bag. And if you're wondering why I didn't leave it in the car, it's because I don't like to leave it in a car because, the sun and all that, it might not be the best thing to do. In retrospect, that's probably what I should have done. But I walked in there, there was no place to hang the bag, but they did have a rather nice shelf that I said, okay, I can lay it against the shelf, lean it back, and it should be fine, So I'm washing my hands, and I hear this thump. I look over, the records have fallen a considerable distance, because it's a shelf that's about, up to here, when I'm, for you to put things down on. And it wasn't quite long enough for me to want to put it down flat. I thought it might still fall over, but it fell over anyways. So anyways, though, I just picked them up. Well, yeah. I just, picked up the bag and thought, well, okay, either they're fine or they're not fine. We'll find out when I get home. I haven't opened them up yet.
Record, clean the bag. I made him clean the bag.
Yes, she did make me clean the bag, yes, when I got home. So yeah, just for the record. Anyways, though, I wiped it down with a disinfectant wipe. Anyways, though, so we're going to take a look at these here and just see how they are. And we're going to start here with something that I did pick up recently as brand new, although, like I said, a new pressing of it. This is Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare. And as near as I can tell, this is an old 70s copy. I used to have this a long time ago. I inherited it from one of my sisters, who only got it for the song Only Women Bleed, but didn't really like the rest of it. And of course, I listened to it. Look, it's not broken. I listened to it and loved it, and it became a record that I played all the time. And of course, it was a record that later I would lose once CDs came along. But we have a pressing here that is from the 70s, at least as near as I can tell here. It's a little bit dirty, which is to be expected from a record this old. But it looks pretty good, I think. Of course, I looked at it before I bought it. After my experience with buying pre-digital analog albums, I've become more interested in, once again, hearing older pressings and comparing them and listening to them. And this was one of those albums that I thought, okay, when I saw it, I thought, yeah, I would love to compare this now to the newer pressing, which I picked up, which sounded good, but I could just kind of tell without even investigating that it felt digitally sourced. This won't be digitally sourced. This is going to be, analog sourced. And so we got this here, but it looks pretty good. The sleeve here, which is replicated in the one that I picked up, the new one, is torn here at the side. So I was going to put this in a anti-static sleeve anyways, and I'm going to clean it before I play it the first time and see how it is, There we go. Just put that in an anti-static sleeve. But yeah, we'll keep this though. And I want to compare it. The new pressing, of course, is also a remastering too. And you may remember when I talked about that purchase and reviewed it, I compared it to my CD copy. I thought that record sounded better than my CD copy, but that record was a remastering. The CD copy was something I probably picked up in the 80s and still have. So we're going to give this a comparison and see what we think. Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare, a real favorite of mine. Next, we have here Paul McCartney, Venus and Mars. This has always been one of my favorite Paul McCartney albums. This was the first Paul McCartney album that I ever bought. I used to have this on vinyl back in the 70s. The jacket is in really rough shape. You can kind of see how it's kind of frayed up here, like that. Yeah, not in the best of shape, as you can see. But it was only $6.99, you know. Very affordable, though. I mean, so we take a look at the album here. The jacket doesn't look too bad, the cardboard jacket. We're going to put this in an anti-static sleeve also. Although it is frayed at the end, the record can kind of peek out a little bit out of the end there, as you can see. After my experience with that Rolling Stones album I bought, Satanic Majesty's Request, that 60s pressing, I bought that record just for the collector's item packaging, you know, for the uniqueness of it. I said to myself, if the record plays fine, it's a bonus. The record played great. Even though it looks scratched up, it played great. Not a skip on it. Some crackling when I first put the needle down, which is, you know, even after cleaning, that's to be expected. Maybe some crackling in between the quieter moments, you know, in between track breaks. But otherwise, it sounded really good. And it was a stereo pressing. I liked it better than the new stereo remaster on vinyl that I got. Although I still think the mono remastering is probably better than this. But I like that one better than the stereo one. I'm sorry, I'm pointing at this even though I'm talking about that Rolling Stones album. So I'm gonna check this one out. This one also looks pretty good. It's dirty. It has some signs of what could be scratching, but then again, just like that Rolling Stones one, we're gonna check it out and see. But yeah, here we go. So let's put this in an anti-static sleeve here. And I'll clean it before I play it. Venus and Mars. And I want to compare it to I don't own a vinyl repressing of it, but I will compare it to my CD, which was the most recent remastering that was done some years back. I think within the last 5 years, when McCartney's been like remastering his catalog, of course, releasing it with bonus features. But here we have a original analog source vinyl pressing here. And let's put that away. There we go. Put away the sleeve. Okay. Put away the record. Really tight. There we go, but it all fits. Venus and Mars. So now, last but not least, is another art record I've been thinking about lately. I've been thinking about all these, and there they all were. Only $5. A Passion Play by Jethro Tull. This was another album I inherited from one of my sisters. She didn't care for it. And this one here has a booklet that my copy didn't have. So that's really cool that it has this little booklet inside. This is, to me, a really underrated album. And for a long time, this has been the only Jethro Tull album I've ever owned, believe it or not. Jethro Tull is not an artist whose music I've delved that deeply into. I mean, I have Thick as a Brick. I have Aqualung, you know, the famous albums, but I've never really delved too deeply. But this is an album that doesn't get talked about a whole lot. I think it's absolutely fantastic as a concept album. I think it's better than Thick as a Brick. I know some people are going to really lose their minds if I say that, but I think it's a better album. So we're going to take a look at the record here real quick. It's in a really crummy paper sleeve. Ugh. Yeah. We're not even going to bother to keep this sleeve. It's not worth keeping. Let's take a look at it here. But it's $5. It's really dirty. Really, really dirty. Yeah. I'll have to do a little work on this one to clean it here. And let's see here. Yeah. Definitely got fingerprints. Let's see here. That might be scratching, hard to say, but hopefully playable. We'll check it out. But I have recently been thinking about this album again. I think it's the 2014 remastering of it on CD, I believe. There was a later remastering as well. There was also something that I just recently discovered that I still have to investigate and find out what it is, called the Chateau remix or remaster. Actually, no, it's a remix because it sounds completely different. And it was very unique to hear. I didn't know it existed. So I've got to do some research on that. But this was all within the last day or two that I discovered, you know, that remix of this album here. And then here it is. a vinyl pressing from the 70s. And at any rate, though, yeah, we'll see how this holds up here. Like I said, none of these were very expensive. You know, they're pretty dirty, but we'll see what happens after I clean them up. So that's the used record haul from Rhino Records. I'm going to check all of these out, and I'm going to let you know what I think. So after I finished filming, Superfan said to me, "Why are you putting these dirty records into an anti-static sleeve? Because now you're dirtying up the sleeve." I thought, oh, you're right. So anyways, I know somebody will bring that up, so I thought I'd bring it up now. If someone commented before watching this little bit and they bring up that point, do me a favor and comment back to them and say busted. Thanks. Okay, it's been a week now since getting these records here. And in that time, I've of course cleaned the dirty vinyl records, just dry cleaned them. And I've listened to them and I've compared them. And I wanted to talk about what I thought. Now, we're going to start here with Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare. Here is the used copy I bought at Rhino Records. And this was it was $9.99, and it was the cleanest of the three. I expected it to be because it was priced more. And once again, clearly early 70s pressing here. Can't say if any of these are original pressings, but if not, they're very close. Anyways, though, I had, of course, mentioned that I just recently had picked up the brand new re-release of this album, which was on clear vinyl here, and was also a remastered audio. And of course, back then I compared this to the older CD version I had, which was not the new remastered version. I did feel that this sounded better. But then again, I didn't have the new remastered CD to compare it to. But this remastered vinyl record did sound better than my old CD copy. But I then, of course, wanted to compare this to this and see if maybe this newer version still sounded better. My results were quite interesting. So first of all, this was a really clean copy. Almost no ticks or pops. A few, very, very few during the quietest sections, but by and large, none at all. So that was really cool. As I listened to these, I found them to be equally good, but for different reasons. There were audio qualities to this remaster where I heard certain nuances that I wasn't hearing here. But by that same token, there were audio nuances I was hearing here that I wasn't hearing here. These would be just little things sometimes. The hit of a cymbal, like on the beginning opening track of Welcome to My Nightmare, it would have a lot more presence maybe. Maybe a harmony with guitar and keyboard is more interesting here on this newer version. And maybe a guitar solo feels more up front on this older version. And it was just kind of a back and forth thing as I listened to these. They both offered unique and cool qualities that they had. And honestly, I would say these came in even Steven. As far as if you were to put these two in a race, it's a tie. They don't sound exactly the same. They do have their little subtle differences, but they both offer cool things to listen to. Cool, unique subtleties, nuances. So, yeah, I really can't say that one is better than the other. I can say they're both equally good, even though they have their differences. So next, Wings. Venus and Mars. Now this was only $6.99, so I wasn't expecting the world, and of course you saw me examine it. It was much dirtier. Once again, dry cleaned it, just dry cleaned it only. using a brush and then compared it to this. This, of course, is my recent, remastered version, 2 CD set. But I only, of course, listened to the original album, and I just compared these back and forth. Now, of course, this is going to sound cleaner. I mean, was a really dirty record. So you have to I had to put that out of my mind as I'm listening and just listen to the actual recording, which once I got past the snap, crackle, pop, and only during the quieter sections, mind you, once everything kicks in and the music becomes louder, there's more instrumentation going on, full band performances, then, of course, that snap, crackle, pop just goes away. And I found that both of these, this CD sounds really good, okay? There's no getting around it. It's a really good, enjoyable sounding CD. However, like one of the surprises was that the song here, Call Me Back Again, which was a track that I liked, but it wasn't one of my favorites. It was a track that sometimes I would listen to, sometimes I might skip over it. There were times when I could take it or leave it. I found it stood out more listening to this old record, even with the snap crackle. I just found it standing out more, particularly when the guitar solo came in. The guitar solo leaped out a lot more at me. On Magneto and Titanium Man, a song that I've always really enjoyed, really fun song. Once again, the guitar solo just popped out more than, say, here. Also, background vocals at times just felt a little sweeter. Definitely there were more highs on the CD, but there were times when those highs, by comparison, and I want to stress that word, by comparison to this, the highs on this felt a little more brittle. Whereas here, they were just easier on the ear. And I don't want to say these were shrill, but I would say by comparison, these felt more brittle and shrill, and not all the highs, just some of them, okay? Whereas those same highs were much softer on the ear and much nicer and more appealing. And this is especially true, like I said, with some of the background vocals, all those nice ahs, going on Magneto and Titanium Man, where they just had a softer, more appealing feel to them. And so, like I said, your results may vary, but even with the snap crackle, hearing this on this old, dirty vinyl made me realize that, if I get a chance, if I find a nicer copy of this used, pre-digital copy, definitely it's going to be worth spending the extra money on, even if it's, twice as much, even if it's like $19, which is kind of what I would expect nowadays, with vinyl prices being what they are for used vinyl. If it's a really nice, good copy in really good condition, I'm expecting around that price. But it's probably going to be worth it because of, just some of the nicer aspects that I heard on this. Again, not knocking the CD. It's a very enjoyable. And I've imported this into my music on Apple, on what I used to refer to as iTunes. And I play it in the car all the time, and it sounds great. I love it. But at home, on the turntable, by comparison, going back to back, like I said, there definitely were aspects to this where the instruments and the voices felt more real. The opening acoustic guitar on the Venus and Mars opening and the reprise on side 2, definitely more highs here, but the acoustic maybe having, I think, less harsh, though, here. And the acoustic felt warmer to me and more enjoyable, more pleasant to the ears. So definitely learned something about this, that if I do find a nicer copy, and like I said, I picked this up because it was cheap and I didn't know if I would find a nicer copy, and I wanted to make this comparison. But if I do find a nicer copy used, definitely want to pick it up. I know there's a newer pressing of this that was the companion to this release. So if anybody has it, tell me what you think of it. Is it worth my time to consider picking up the newer LP pressing from a couple years back? Let me know about that. So anyways, though, but yeah, these are both enjoyable. But for now, I'm going to hold on to this copy until I find a nicer one. Finally, of course, Jethro Tull, Passion Play. This was also a real dirty record. This was $4.99. And I was kind of not expecting too much, but I was just curious. I had to just know. Here's my CD remastering that I bought some years back that sounds really good. And I compared these, okay? And these both sound really good. Once again, snap, crackle, and pop. Got to put that out of my head and just listen to the actual instruments. I would say that probably this comes out just a little bit ahead. Though there were some moments, especially with the vocals, where the vocals just felt more like they were in the room with me. And once again, just like the Paul McCartney, the Wings album, this at times brought out little nuances that weren't available here and vice versa. But I think this CD remastering is so good that it comes out just a little bit ahead of this. Still, though, there were some things I liked about it. Since making the video last week where I talked about these, I've of course learned about the Steven Wilson remix, which I'm going to pick up on CD. And because I don't think there's a vinyl version I can find that's affordable, but I'm going to get the CD version. I did listen to that on streaming and just really thought it was really good. Different, but still really good. So yeah, it's just a different experience. But at any rate, though, maybe I'll come across a cleaner version. Maybe I won't. And not 100% sure that it's still going to beat this out, but this was a really good remastering. And I want to hear I want to get the Steven Wilson remix after listening to it on Tidal. But still, don't regret picking this up. Glad I got it. It was very affordable, and it was a nice. It kind of let me compare the two. So at any rate, though, that's what I thought as far as just comparing these to the other versions that I own. And like I said, your results may vary. CD versus vinyl, or older vinyl versus new vinyl. Sometimes it's not a matter of better or worse. Sometimes it's just uniquely different qualities with each one. Let me know your thoughts. As always, if you like what I do here, be sure to click like so the YouTube algorithm recognizes me. Also, I'd appreciate it if you'd click subscribe and also hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any videos. And this is the second time where I've done it this way, these kind of videos. Normally I would just do, a kind of an unboxing. But here I'm putting in my views on it a week afterwards, especially comparing it to any original version that I had earlier. And let me know if you want to keep seeing me do these types of videos in this fashion. I want to thank my patron supporters who are helping me make more videos. If you'd like to be a patron supporter, please go to patreon.com/TJRTheOriginal and consider making a monthly donation. And if you can't do that, I understand. Just click like. That really helps a lot. And share these videos with anyone you think might be interested in seeing them. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Hope you all stay safe and healthy. Take care. Bye-bye.